welcome back again. So today in this tutorial we will be learning how to find a Leapyear using JavaScript. So first of all, a Leapyear means any year which comes after every 4 years, or any year which are divisible by 4 and then 400 are called as a Leapyear. So I repeat, a Leapyear means in a simple term, a leap year means a year which comes after every 4 years. So today we will be doing a JavaScript program to find the leap year. So we will be doing our JavaScript as something like this. We will have a text box and then a button. So we use this button to execute our function, and then we use this text box to accept the value from the user. So for example, if the user have entered 2020 in this text field, this particular value will be stored in a variable, and then when we click on this button it will execute the function along, and then it will get execute the corresponding JavaScript code, and then it will display as a message. So to display this message, we can just simply write to our browser, or we can use this something like this, an alert box. So it will show 2020 is not a leap year, and so on. So let's close it, and then let's start with our JavaScript program. So since we have already learned the basic structure of HTML, I will be starting from the very beginning. So inside the body, first of all, what we have to do is let's create one heading, let's create one text box, and then a button. So let's write how to find Leapyear. Alright, after that let's create a form. So form, let's give a name to this form, my form. Alright, after that my form, let's create one text box to accept the value from the user. So enter a number to find Leapyear. So let's write like this, enter a year to find Leapyear. After that, let's create our text box. Input type is text. After that, let's give an ID to this one to identify this particular text box. So you can give in a name to identify this text box. Let me give a year. Okay. After that, let's give one line break. So while designing this text box and then all these buttons, you can do as you wish. So after that, let's create one button. After that, on click. After that, we have to give the function name to identify that function name to execute our JavaScript code. So after that, let's say inside the button, let's write check now. Alright, so for the function name, you can give any relevant name as you wish. So make sure to give something relevant, so that it will not get mixed up when you want to use that particular function inside your JavaScript. Let's say Leapyear. So check underscore Leapyear, it is my function name. So I'm done. Let's say we are done with our form. We have a text box with an ID here, we have a button, and then when we click that button, it will execute our JavaScript function called check Leapyear. So that's all for now. So let's save it. Leapyear.html. Alright, so if we run this one, so we have one heading and then enter a name and number to find the Leapyear. We have a text box and then we have a button here. So right now we do not have any JavaScript code, so let's go ahead and then let's give one more line break here. Okay, let's you can write your JavaScript code inside your HTML anywhere. So let's go up here and then let's write it inside our head tag. So the right in the JavaScript is script. All right, now let's go here. After first of all, what we have to do is let's create let's create a function. So this function is a keyword to create your function. After that, we have to give our function name. So my function name was this one, so we have to write the exact same function name. After that, let's open one curly braces, so you can write it in the same line or you can do it in a separate line, it's your wish. After that, let's create one variable. After that, in this variable, let's say Leapyear. So this variable is to hold that value. So you can give any name as like while declaring your function name. So variable, I'll give Leapyear. After that, we have to accept a value and then store it inside this variable name. So document dot get element by id. All right, after that, let's say year dot value. So out here, document dot get element by id year means we are referring to this id name. So inside this text box, whatever id you have mentioned, make sure to write the same out here, so that when the user enter any value inside this text field with an id this year, that value will be stored in this variable Leapyear. That means inside our HTML documents with an id year, we are getting that value to store it inside our Leapyear. So now we have already accepted the value from the user. Now to find the Leapyear, we have to use if statement. So we have here if, let's open the bracket, let's close it. After that, inside, all right, let's start one bracket. After that, we have given a variable named Leapyear, right? So if Leapyear is completely, we call it as a modulus, this is completely divisible by 4, right? After that, and again, if that Leapyear is not divisible by 100, so that particular year should be divisible by 4, but it should not be divisible by 100. And then this one is or Leapyear is completely divisible by 400. So out here, if Leapyear, that means we are referring to this variable, and then it will calculate depending on what value the user have entered. For example, if the user have entered 2020 in this text field, that particular 2020 will be stored in this variable name Leapyear. And then out here, if 2020 is completely divisible by 4, and if 2020 is not completely divisible by 100, or if 2020 is divisible by 400. So it goes on like that. So it depends on whatever the value a user have entered. Depending on that, using if statement, we are finding out whether it is divisible by 4 or not divisible by 100 or 400. Now if this condition is true, alright, if that condition is true, let's write, instead of alert, if you want to just write directly to the browser, you can use document to write alert. After that, let's say year. After that, plus. After that is Leapyear. So alert year plus is not a Leapyear. So out here, whatever is written in double quotation, it will be displayed as it is inside our browser. But out here, I did not give any quotation or anything out here. This is, I am referring to this one, variable name. For example, if the user entered 2020 in the output, it will show alert 2020 is a Leapyear. Okay, after that, if this condition is true, it will execute this one, and then let us close this one. After that, else the above condition is false, it will execute the following. Let's say we are the alert. After that, again, let's call this Leapyear plus is not Leapyear. Okay, after that, let's close this one. After that, let's close another. Okay, so 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, let's save this one. So out here, if this condition is true, that means if the value entered by the user match these requirements, it will execute this one and then display that. For example, if the user entered 2020, it will display 2020 is a Leapyear, or else 2020 is not a Leapyear. So that's all. Let's check it inside our browser. So out here, if I let's try 2020, so 2020 is a Leapyear. Now let's try another one. Let's try 2021. So 2021 should not be a Leapyear. So 2021 is not a Leapyear. Okay, so that's how we can find whether a year is a Leapyear or not using JavaScript. So that's all. See you in the next tutorial.